Good morning. My name is John McKenna. I'm a supervisor of the Carson City Board of Supervisors, and this is your city. A lot going on last week and over the last month. Let me bring you up to speed on something that's not on the Board of Supervisors, but is very important to Carson City, and that is the future of WNC, Great Basin College, Truckee Meadows Community College, and the community colleges in Clark County. The SB 391, that's the Legislative Committee, Governance and Finance Subcommittee, wrapped up its meetings last week. We had 2 meetings, and basically they are going to recommend to the full committee and to the legislature that the regions stay in charge of the community colleges. They also are going to send a letter to the regions suggesting that the regions do a better job with the community college, especially community college funding in future. For those that don't understand the function of community colleges in our community in Nevada, WNC serves Carson City, Douglas County, Lyon County, Mineral, and Churchill County. And not just the education, the reading, writing, and arithmetic type of education, but there's also business development education in there, welding, etc. That's incredibly important to our economic base and to bringing in future economic development. And so we're working with the legislature to make sure that, one, there's no local taxes to pay for the community college. It's paid for by the state because education is a responsibility of the state according to the Constitution. And secondly, we get what we need so that we can grow. So that's what's going on with SB 391, and the subcommittee's finished, but the legislative session, it will be brought up again and discussed and discussed and discussed because education is fundamental in Nevada. The board dealt with routine matters last week to the most part. We renewed the insurance contracts that we've renewed every year for the last 20, 30 years. No major surprises, no major raises, slight raises, that sort of thing. We also did some, looked at some accounting things. We moved some money around so that we didn't run into cash flow violations or accounting violations, but it's just standard business. You have to move money from one account to the other by resolution, and then we move it back when the money comes in from the federal government to pay for the grants. A new sign was approved for Fuji Park. It'll be paid for $20,000 from the Nevada Commission on Tourism, $20,000 grant approved by the Redevelopment Citizens Authority, and $30,000 came from the Quality of Life Fund. The board's function in this was to approve the $30,000 from the Quality of Life Fund and to approve the $20,000 from the Redevelopment Citizens Committee. My own feeling is mixed on it. I think it's a waste of money, but the board passed it, and I think now that, as with most things, once you get the resolution behind it, then we need to go forward and make it successful. This sign is in between the Fuji Park, or in between the Bailey Fishing Pond and the turnoff to Walmart, and so that was my problem. I don't think anybody's going to see it, and if they do, it's going to be too late to go into Fuji Park. However, a lot of people, 3 groups and a lot of redevelopment people, a lot of tourism people think it's the right thing to do, so I hope they're right. The one major thing that we did was zoning for medical marijuana, easy for me to say. Zoning it was set for medical marijuana establishments in Carson City. The areas were on the Highway 50 east from the freeway basically to the Lyon County line, Highway 390 south, 395 south from Kuntz to the Douglas County line, and a certain distance on each side of the highway. And there's some areas in the industrial park out by Arrowhead, the airport industrial park. And those were basically included at the owner's request. They actually made a request during the meeting. Those wishing to have a medical marijuana establishment in Nevada must apply with the state and go through a rigid vetting process fairly soon. In fact, August 5th, I think, or the 7th, something like that, is when they have to have their applications in. That's why we needed to do zoning now. If we are going to have any local businesses being able to apply, we needed to have zoning so that people could start locking in their establishments where they're going to be, etc. It's been stated that the cost of a dispensary is upward from $700,000. Several longtime business owners here in Carson City are going to apply for them. There are two arguments as to medical marijuana. First, it is illegal and should be banned in Carson City, and that has a lot of sway among people. The second is that the people of Nevada and Carson City, by a wide majority, voted to legalize medical marijuana 18 years ago, and we ought to get around to being more responsive to what the people say. After all, we are representative government, and what the people say is supposed to be what is done, not what the minority wants. There's also a states' rights issue there because the feds keep making marijuana illegal, and really, is that a function of the federal government or is that a function of the state? Stay tuned. 21 states so far have legitimized medical marijuana. I would imagine the rest will do so in the next 5 years. But the board taking action now prevents unanticipated consequences. What we did is we zoned. We said, in Carson City, if you're going to have medical marijuana, it will be in these places where we want it, not where some judge or some lawsuit's decision says they're going to put it. Lawsuit says they'll put it next to the state capitol. They can't do that now that we've zoned Carson City. We have told them where we want it, and the courts will hold for us. The other thing that happened during the week, or over the last couple of weeks, was two influential citizens have passed, Dr. Eugene Pavlov and Mayor Marv Pavlov. Dr. Pavlov and I first came together when he was the superintendent of state schools, or Nevada schools, back in the 1900s, 1993, I think, is when I met him. Dr. Pavlov was influential in helping me learn how school finance worked. I was just going on the school board. He helped me make sure that I knew the finance and the rules of schools so that I could help manage the schools and save money. I think because of his efforts, my career as a school board trustee was much more fruitful, and I think he actually, through me, saved the schools a lot of money. Mayor Marv Pavlov, first off, there's naming opportunities out there. The Boys and Girls Club is working on one. Hopefully it should come to fruition soon. Who can say anything bad about Marv? Marv was Marv, and Marv was brought flavor to the city. He did a lot of good for Carson City. He was a unique individual. Dean Heller at Marv's funeral eulogized Marv as his coach, a person that helped him develop skills that have let him become a U.S. Senator. And Marv did that for, I would say, most of the kids in town, because I think he's taught most of the adults in this town, or coached most of the adults. To give you an example of how pervasive Marv was, I was at the Taster Downtown on Saturday, and this couple from Dallas walked by. And I started talking to them, and at the end of the conversation, I asked them, "Why are you in town?" And the young lady said, "We're here for a funeral." And I go, "Oh." And she said, "Yes, my grandfather passed away." And I said, "Well, I was at the funeral. It was Marv, and I was at the funeral, and we talked about the funeral and that sort of thing." And she had unique stories to tell about Marv. And I said, "Just down the street's the old Globe, and that's where Marv used to hang out." She said, "I know. We went there and took pictures for our history." And that's Marv. Marv was history. So passing of those two, we'll try to get something here in Carson City named for Marv so that his legacy continues on. And I'm sure that there's people out there that are trying to put together Dr. Pavlov's School for the Performing Arts. And I'm sure that'll bear his name, because both gentlemen deserve our thanks as people that have taken Carson City to the future and have done a lot for youth. Other than that, what's going on into the future? The city manager's had his third week. He's doing well. Everybody I have talked to has liked the gentleman. He seems to be fitting in well in Carson City. There's a lot to learn. At Marv's at the reception after Marv's funeral, Supervisor Avowed and I were talking to former city manager Burkich, and Mr. Burkich was amazed or pleased with all of the progress Carson City's made. It is my hope and the hope of all of us, I'm sure, that the economy continues to turn around and that we can start moving forward into the future economically. There is a lot of building going on. It's summer, it's hot outside, and it's a typical summer here in Carson City. The other thing that we have going on that's kind of a dark cloud out there is we have some labor problems. I can't really talk to you about them because of federal unfavorable labor practice laws, but they will come to the fruition probably in 2 or 3 months, and we will try to hold the line as well as we can. If we can't, we'll try to take other actions so that this type of labor action doesn't cost Carson City a lot of money. We've arrived at a point where we're starting to get money coming in, where the economy has turned around. We're not living nickel to dime, paycheck to paycheck, so to speak, as a city. We need to save that money. We need to build our reserves back up. We need smart development. We need smart spending. We need to, I'm going to talk to the city manager about this pretty soon, probably Wednesday, that we need to automate as many processes as we can. We need to move Carson City into the future. So once again, I'd like to thank you. It's been an interesting week. It's supposed to be 91 degrees today and hot for the rest of the summer. So enjoy your summer, and thank you very much.